Hey guys, James with Esprit Tech, Jetty USA. A little short video for you today on how to set up the butterfly. This can be used to set up butterfly, which is, of course, all of the servos moving the same direction, or crow, people call it as well, where you have flap down, aileron up, and so on, used for creating braking, downline braking. So we will go ahead and go through the setup for you. Not completely, but give you an idea where to find the things you're looking for. In the model, just so you know, we've got it set up as a 2 aileron, 2 flap ship. It is set up with cloned ailerons, so you have 2 aileron 1s, 2 aileron 2s, but that won't affect the setup too much for you guys out there that are doing this. You want to go ahead and go into the menu, go into the fine tuning menu, scroll down and select butterfly. We're there now, so I'm going to go ahead and press the function button, go into the menu for butterfly. You'll see the first thing there is control. This is where it's asking you to assign a switch or gimbal to this function. Just for today, we're going to go ahead and assign that to one of our side sliders. So I'm going to click on the line. I'm going to scroll to the line first. I'm going to click on it. That allows us to choose between the options on that line. We'll choose control, and we'll go ahead and move our P6 slider on the left side of the radio, and we'll assign that to this function. Once we've done that, we can click OK, function button 5 on the below the screen, and we've selected P6. If we wanted to set offset, we would do that next. Then comes our delay on our positive and negative side of the function, which we need neither. We're going to set this setting as global, as we don't need this flight mode specific. If you did, you would change it from G to S. Then it would be changeable, or you could set up different rates and amounts for each flight mode. Once you finish that line, you can hit the escape key, the ESC key. That allows you to move the cursor from one line to the next. We'll go down to the next line, which is our aileron and flap adjustment. This is the meat of the mix, so to speak. So we'll go ahead and select that. It opens up a new portion of the menu, our aileron and flap adjustment screen. You'll notice here that it's set up for a 2 aileron, 2 flap setup. You'll notice that is the case by the number at the top, which is S1 and S2. One of the big things about this, if you have it set up like I have in this model, where you have copied your servo 1s and your servo 2s to do a multiple servo arrangement on a single surface, that won't appear here. This is based on your basic setup, so if you chose 2 flaps in the basic setup, it will give you servo 1 and servo 2 only. You will not see all 4 servos come up. Every servo in the aircraft set up as servo 1 or aileron 1 will move together. Aileron 2 will move together. So don't worry about it if you don't see all 4 servos here. What you do to make the adjustments in this is you select the line that you'd like to edit. You can move between servo 1 and servo 2. It defaults to a symmetrical setup, so you'll see if I click on S1 and turn my function wheel or my 3D wheel to the right, I'm adding the same percentage to both servo 1 and servo 2. So this is a positive amount I'm putting in, so this is raising the ailerons in my specific setup. If it goes the wrong way on your model, just reverse the value. In other words, dial in a negative value, so you would want to go to, say, negative 35% or whatever percent you wanted to use. Just keep that in mind. If for some reason in your butterfly adjustment, while you're setting this up, you notice you have a couple of percent different from one aileron to the next or from one flap to the next, and you need different values, simply click the SYM at the bottom of the screen. That's function button 1. That will allow you to assign different percentages between the servos. So in this case, we'll dial 40 on one and 35 on the other. That is for situations where you just have a slight difference in the servos and you need to move to exactly the same space. It does that without altering the sub-trims of the servo. Very important for the rest of the functions you'll be setting up in the model. Once you've finished adjusting your aileron line, you go ahead and click escape. Scroll down. If you want to put in differential, this is where you would put your differential in between servo 1, servo 2. And then when you've added your differential, if you do not want to add differential, just move down to your flaps. And we're going to go ahead and dial in a negative value to our flaps. Now, don't forget that if you've clicked the symmetrical button on the ailerons, and you need to click that button again when you start setting up the flaps, so the flaps will move down at the same percentage. Otherwise, you'll have to go into each S1 and S2 and adjust them separately. If you want to adjust them together, you need to make sure that the SYM is highlighted in white, not backed up in black. We'll go ahead and set that percentage there. Again, you have the option of changing from global to S here, so you wanted flight mode specific. We'll go ahead and leave this as global. Once we finish adjusting, we can click the center button on the function button again. That highlights the line, hit escape, and that gets us to where we can move beyond that screen. Once we're happy, we click OK, function button 5, and that moves us back into the main screen for butterfly. The next step is elevator. Elevator is very simple. You can adjust how much elevator compensation you're adding, either positive or negative. You can do that simply by using a straight percentage. If you want to, you can also go into curve type and go to a 3 to 9 point curve and actually adjust that curve independently. It depends on how the airframe you're working on responds to elevator in a flap situation or butterfly situation, what curve you're going to need and how much you're going to need to dial in. But in the elevator adjustment screen is where you make those changes. Again, once you're happy with that, you click the OK key, function button 5. That gets you back to the butterfly menu. The last step is your tuning screen. This is where you can, of course, assign a tuning control. Allows you to vary that amount of butterfly in flight, and it gives you a differential adjustment, so how much you're going to vary it by. And then you put in the values for aileron, flap, and elevator. All of those things there will come into play as you dial in the aircraft. Typically, you'll start with a very basic setup and move beyond that after flight. If you have any questions on what you've seen today, don't hesitate to reach out to us at Esprit Tech or Jetty USA. This has been James, and thank you.